Good morning, students. In today's class, we are going to begin a new topic, summary and theme of the novel Old Man and the Sea, prescribed for non-detailed study. Before we begin with the characterization and the other details, first let me give you the summary of the story. The Old Man and the Sea is the story of an old Cuban fisherman's struggle to catch a great fish. He has a devoted companion, a young boy who has no part in the old man's struggles. The novel is based on the real life story of an old Cuban fisherman catching a great fish and losing it to the sharks. Hemingway writes about it in a letter published in Esquire, April 1936, 15 years before the publication of the novelette, under the caption "On the Blue Water, a Gulf Stream Letter." This real life incident inspires Hemingway first to write a brief account in Esquire magazine and 15 years later to write a great short novel. There are two characters in the opening part of the novel, an old fisherman and his boy companion, and only one character, the old fisherman in most of the novel, and some tourist, and later, the old fisherman and his boy companion in the last part. Santiago is a 70-year-old fisherman who lives in Havana, Cuba. He fishes the Gulf Stream for 84 days without catching a fish. The boy, Manolin, who loves Santiago and looks after him, accompanies him for the first 40 days, but now his parents conclude that the old man is hopelessly unlucky and sends him on another boat. Still, Manolin serves the old man, bringing him food and beer and helps him carry his tackle to the boat. They discuss baseball in the old man's shack. The old man sleeps alone, dreaming of his youth in Africa and lions on the beach. Santiago is not interested in catching small fish. He wants to catch the biggest fish ever caught in the Gulf Stream. He thinks of the sea as a woman. On the 85th day, he sets sail again, determined to catch the biggest ever fish far out in the sea. He sails far out, sets his lines, and waits for the big fish. He watches a school of dolphins pursue flying fish and curses a Portuguese man of war that drifts nearby. He catches a small tuna and waits for the big fish. When it comes, it pulls at the bait gently. The veteran fisherman learns later that it is a marlin nibbling his bait 600 feet below. He senses the right moment and pulls hard, and the long struggle begins. It is now noon and the sun grows hot. Santiago feeds the marlin some more line as the fish swims away towards the skiff northwestwards. Santiago waits for the marlin to get tired. He holds the heavy line in his calloused hands and carries it across his shoulders. The fish drags the boat after him all afternoon and into the evening and night. Santiago wishes he had the boy with him. The old man feels that his endurance is under pressure, but he is determined to subdue his adversary alone. He thinks about the fish at the end of the line and about other great fish he has caught. The fish is strong, and during the night he lurches and Santiago falls down on his face. His cheek is cut, but he does not relax his hold on the line. Next morning, the old man is stiff and hungry, but he does not pull the line tight lest the fish should break it. The birds appear above and Santiago talks to them. All of a sudden, the fish surges and the line cuts through his hand. His hand hurts, but the thought that the fish is getting tired gives him pleasure. He wonders what the fish plans. He thinks that the fish is his brother, but that he must be stronger to overcome his prey. He suffers a cramp in his left hand and worries about it. The line suddenly becomes slack and the fish leaps out, making an arc above the surface of the water. It is the largest marlin Santiago has ever seen, longer than his skiff. Santiago prays for victory and he wants to show the fish what a man can do and what a man endures. The fish tows the skiff eastwards all afternoon and into the night. Santiago tries to gain strength from the memory of a hand game he won several years ago at a tavern. He tries to draw strength from the thought of the boy and the baseball champion DiMaggio. He catches a dolphin and eats it to satisfy his hunger and gain strength. The marlin jumps again in the night, causing another cut in Santiago's hand. He dozes in the middle of the struggle and dreams of Africa and the lions. On the morning of the third day, the fish leaps up again, and the line lacerates Santiago's hands. He begins to shorten the line, and every time it tears his hands, causing him excruciating pain. He washes his bleeding hands in the sea and resumes drawing in the line while the tiring marlin moves round the skiff in ever narrowing concentric circles. Just before the fish comes close enough for the old man's harpoon, he begs it not to kill them both. He is filled with love and admiration for the fish and exclaims that he does not care if the noble creature, who is at once his brother and enemy, kills him. It matters little who kills whom. Finally, Santiago harpoons and kills the mighty marlin and lashes it to the side of his skiff. An hour later, his nightmare begins. A mako shark attacks the dead marlin and takes away a slice of its flesh. Then come the gallants in large number. Santiago fights them off with all his might, not only defending his victory, but the dignity of the dead fish. In spite of his brave fight, the shark mutilates the fish. He wonders whether he has committed a sin in killing the fish, but realizes that a man may be destroyed but not defeated. Santiago is very sorry that the fish, his brother, is dead. He knows that he is fighting a losing battle, but doggedly fights on. He fights the shark desperately in the dark, losing his knife and club and breaking his tiller, his only remaining weapon, until he knows that he is beaten and without remedy. The ravenous sharks reduce the marlin to a mere skeleton. The old man is very sorry that the fish is not only dead but badly ravished, but there is nothing he can do, for he acted as an honest fisherman. Santiago steers the skiff towards the harbor when some ignorant tourists mistake the great marlin for a shark. He tells himself that he has gone out too far and hence suffered defeat. On the beach, he carries the mast on his shoulders and climbs up the hill wearily to his shack. On his way up, he stumbles and falls but rises and plods on. He falls asleep in his shack, lying on his face with his arm outstretched and his bruised palms turned up. Menolin comes in the morning and is moved to tears. He nurses Santiago. He says that the old man's luck will turn again and he will then sail with him, Santiago. As the novel ends, the old man sleeps dreaming of his lions and Menolin sits beside him. So students, this is the summary of the story, The Old Man and the Sea. In this particular novel, we have 2-3 very important things. The first and foremost is the characterization, in which we are to deal with the characters of Santiago and the young boy. Also, we have important imagery in the story, which will be discussed in the coming classes. But for today's class, we just have the summary of The Old Man and the Sea, and the detail of the story would be taken in the other classes. Thank you.